What is going on, guys? It's Justin from Push and Profit. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Now, in today's Sunday Stock Talk, we're going to be talking about a few stocks that present a good opportunity to make a trade, because at the end of the day, when it comes to trading, it's really just about having a plan and executing that plan accordingly when the opportunity presents itself, right? So, on these Sunday Stock Talks, we just talk about a few stocks. And of course, if you guys see value in it, then of course you guys could trade these stocks as well for yourself. But again, one thing I encourage is that you guys should never trade a stock simply based off someone else's opinion, and only trade whatever you see value in it, right? Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and look into the charts as we always do. And right here, we're looking at ticker symbol JMIA, JMIA stock, right? Now, this is a stock I covered about a year ago. It's been a while, when JMIA had a crazy run-up. And, we see that JMIA has been selling off aggressively. And now, it comes time to talk about JMIA again, right? So, what is the reason why we're talking about JMIA, right? Well, one of the things I want to point out is that we have earnings season coming up. So right here, we have JMIA having their, and I believe it's right here, on Tuesday before the market opens, right? They're releasing their earnings. Now, why am I paying attention to JMIA, right? Now, there's two different ways to trade earnings. There's a way where you could trade earnings before and after, right? I already have a video on this channel that you could watch after this video on how to trade earnings when they are bad, meaning the stock plummets down from the earnings, right? But as far as JMIA goes, this is a different type of earnings strategy where we're trading it before the earnings come out and, potentially selling it after or during the earnings, right? So let's go ahead and pull this up over here. So let's go back to the chart. Now, one thing I want to point out is that, we have this area of a support presented, right? And the reason we identified this as a support is we can see that, the stock has been consolidating around this area for quite some time, for about almost like 3 months. We've been consolidating. It's been a support around over here, back over here, and it's also been a previous resistance. Now, something that is that previous resistance becomes new support, right? Now, aside from this being a area of support, we're consolidating, and the longer we consolidate, the longer for a move up. Another thing I want to point out too is that, again, with the earnings, if we look into the history of the earnings for JMIA right now, we can't, just automatically assume this, but, in the past earnings, JMIA has pretty much did pretty well. I mean, look at this earning over here, where we kind of went up a little bit over here before we started falling back. We could see that, again, this earnings before that, we kind of ran up. This earning right over here, we see that we kind of ran up. And then as well as this one over here, we ran up. Now, of course, this one, it looks like this. Let's see, this is a different story over here. This earnings was on 8/12, and on 8/12, where is that? 8/12 is right here. So yeah, if we actually zoom in, we fell down, then we had the earnings, and then we came up a little bit before we started coming back down. But anyways, again, not something that guarantees that, hey, every single earnings we run up, but it's a pattern, right? And patterns tend to repeat themselves, and as traders, we love patterns that repeat themselves because it gives us an opportunity to trade off the fluctuation in price. So that's something that we gotta take a look at. Now, the next stock that I honestly I'm just I got something over here that I'm moving out of the way. So the next stock that I want to talk about is ticker symbol TSLA, as Tesla, right? Now, this is a video or a stock that I talked about in my last video, when we talked about how Tesla stock has been selling off aggressively. I don't want to get too deep into it because I mentioned it in my last video, and I don't want to sound redundant, repeating it in every single video. But so long story short, not going into the whole politics, not going into the Twitter, drama. Elon Musk sold approximately $6 billion worth of shares. Now, I mentioned in that video that, we are at this area of support, but I wouldn't buy in just because we're at this area of support, because at the end of the day, a lot of individuals trade reversals wrong, especially beginners, right? Because they tend to think that if it hits a support, that's exactly when you want to buy in. And I don't believe in that. I wait for something called confirmation, right? So because at the end of the day, the dip can get dippier, right? We could touch a support and we could break below that support. Stocks don't have to adhere to, whatever you draw on the charts. And that's something that I think a lot of individuals get confused with technical analysis. Something that I definitely struggled in the beginning. You first start learning technical analysis, you learn the basics, and you start thinking, well, stocks have to do these patterns. And that's not correct, right? Now, aside from all that, we're at the support. We haven't showed confirmation just yet. But also, I mentioned there's a potential area that we could actually go even further down to this area of 900, right? Now, that's a big stretch, but, we do have that area that's like pretty much the next big support that I mentioned on Tesla. And I think even on a daily view, I mentioned how there's a gap over here. And you guys can see there's like a space missing. Now, a lot of people, don't really trade off gaps all the time, but, basically gap trading or filling the gap is where when a stock runs up so much and there's a gap, a lot of times it has to fill the gap and it goes down and fills that gap. Does it have to? No, but it does happen very often. So that was just something I was pointing out. On top of, this just being a support, it could break that support. We could go down further to this next area of support and then fill up that gap, right? Now, I also mentioned that there's a possibility that Elon Musk might actually just sell more shares, right? Because he still has more shares to sell in order to complete the 10% that he mentioned he was going to sell, right? Now, again, not going too deep into you just go on Twitter, watch Elon Musk's tweets, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But speaking about Elon Musk's tweets, I want to point to this tweet that I shared on my community post on YouTube, right? So if you follow me on YouTube, then you might have saw it. If you didn't, then you probably missed out. But here's this tweet. I said it was savage of Elon. So Bernie Sanders tweeted, "We must demand that the extremely wealthy pay their fair share, period." And Elon Musk said, "I keep forgetting that you're still alive." Very savage. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I thought that was really savage. And then he said, "Want me to sell more stock, Bernie? Just say the word." So, this is kind of teasing, again, that Elon Musk might sell some more shares of Tesla, kind of going back to what I was saying in my previous video that, just because this is an area of support and we did bounce off from it over here and over here, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to bounce off again. We have to wait for that confirmation. And, there's still more selling that could come from Elon Musk. And if he's teasing this, Elon Musk, he may just sell more billions of shares. And if that happens, then we could, reach this area of this support around 900. And then, again, on the daily chart, fill that gap that I was talking about. So that's just something I mentioned. So definitely be careful with Tesla, this coming week. I would, again, not really buy into it unless I start seeing that the trend reverses. And if you guys want to learn more about how to trade trend reversals, click the first link in the description below. It's a free cheat sheet where it has an infographic that I designed to really just help simplify how to trade reversals. I made it as simple as, a 5-year-old could pretty much read it and understand how to trade reversals. So definitely check out that first link in the description below. But again, going back to Tesla, going back on tangent, we're very overbought. And so, with Elon Musk selling off a lot of shares, that is pushing the RSI below, which is healthy. A pullback like this is definitely healthy. If a stock just continues going up forever, that's not something you want to be in. Unless you're investing in it and you're dollar cost averaging, then by all means buy the dip on Tesla. But I still think even if you're investing and you're buying the dips, don't buy the dip until confirmation is presented. And if you want to learn more about confirmation, click the first link in the description of this video, right? Now, going to the next ticker symbol that I want to take a look at, and this one hurts me a little, right? And this is RIOT, right? Ticker symbol IROT. Now, the reason why this one does hurt a little bit is because I actually mentioned this, I don't know which video it was, but it's very recently, and I took a heavy position. I put like $10,000 in calls on RIOT, and it was around over here. Now, honestly, the reason I can't even remember what I was talking about because I trade so many different symbols. But I did mention that we had this support over here. And by the way, if you guys don't know, RIOT is basically a company that is a crypto mining company, right? So theoretically, if Bitcoin is going up and all the other cryptos are going up, that's good news for RIOT, and they were going up, right? However, and earnings was coming out. It wasn't, and I don't know exactly when was the date, but earnings was coming up. So I got a position in, and the position started. And the problem with this trade that I had, right? And I'm gonna talk about the trade you guys can make with Riot, but just kind of recapping on my trading mistake with Riot was that I took too heavy of a position, right? And that happens sometimes, right? Which is why position size is really important for managing your risk. I took a position size in call options that I normally don't take. For call options, I typically trade with maybe like $2,000 for options, right? Because it's very risky. And with shares, I may trade with 100,000, with that, because with shares, there's no expiration date. I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but I ended up having to cut my losses because the pain was too deep. I did sell. I actually sold on this candle on this day on the 10th. So just about 4 days ago, I cut my losses. I showed it on my Instagram story. I think it was like $1,200. I took an L. And thank God, I got out because the pain got worse and worse and worse. And then, just a few days later, it ran up and it broke out of this descending triangle pattern that, we have over here. It is what it is. Not every trade am I going to execute 100%. I'm definitely going to have some losses. This was something I was anticipating, but it came a little later than I thought it did. And that's going to happen. And, I would have done fine with my trade had I not taken such a large position size, right? If I would have taken a small position size, maybe just $2,000 in those call options. And as we went down, seeing that number down, especially because we still kind of really hovered above the support. We never really broke below it, but seeing that number, if I traded with a small amount, I probably would have still held it, and then I would have done fine as we broke out of this pattern and broke out. However, when you trade with a large position size, there's a lot of psychology that comes into trading. And when you're trading with that much, you definitely, you don't want to lose your capital. So I still give myself a pat on the back for, mitigating risk and taking my L, because at the end of the day, who I didn't know was going to break up higher, right? It's not for certain. It's not guaranteed. So I took my L on it, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I took a, a $1,200 or something L on it. And it was simply just because I took too much of a big position. To seeing how down I was on it, I couldn't handle the pain. Even though it was above, the support, I just didn't want to be in it. I did not want to do it. So I took my L. And, it did run up. But now that, going back on tangent, that was my story with Riot, but we did break out, and that's good news. That is great news. We're breaking out, which is a very bullish pattern. And if we kind of just go on BTC, which is Bitcoin. By the way, if you guys don't know, on Webull, you could actually trade Bitcoin. And it looks like Bitcoin is coming down again. But in the last week, Bitcoin made new highs, which is incredible. Actually, let me go. This is a 5-minute chart. Let me go to a daily chart, actually. So Bitcoin made new all-time highs. It is coming down, but as we see, it is curling back up, which is healthy. So we're possibly going to see $2,000 Bitcoin probably by the end of the year, right? So anyways, that's good news for companies like Riot, who their whole business model is, investing in mining equipment and then mining these cryptos. If crypto goes down, then that's really bad for pretty much Riot. And another ticker symbol like that is Mara, right? So if you want to trade, stocks that are based off like crypto mining, you can take a look at Riot, RIOT, and Mara. And as Bitcoin is approaching these new areas of highs, and as Riot is breaking out, you may want to take a position in this next coming week. Now, also, again, just want to give that reminder, position size is important. I messed up. I put too much in where I couldn't handle the pressure of it going down, despite it was still above the technicals. So again, when you're trading, manage risk. And that's something we actually talk about in the Push and Profit program with the team. But with that all being set aside, let's go ahead and talk about the last stock I want to talk about for this video, and that is NVIDIA, right? NVDA. And NVIDIA, first of all, I just want to go on the daily chart. NVIDIA has been doing absolutely amazing. It's been killing it. We see if we kind of go into like a 15-minute chart, actually, let's do a 1 hour time frame. Actually, let's do 4 hour. I'm sorry, I'm switching it up. But as Nvidia made all-time highs, we did pull back again, which is great. And again, if you want to learn how to trade reversals, click the first link. But we have this trend line going up, and we have this resistance over here, which creates this ascending triangle pattern, which is pretty bullish. Now, if Nvidia breaks above this area of 310, then I'm probably gonna enter in some a position with Nvidia. Which is great if it does break out of that pattern, because that's a very optimistic bullish pattern. Right now, another thing with Nvidia that I want to show you guys, and let me just go back over here. Nvidia does have their earnings after the close on Wednesday. Right now, typically with these earnings, it's very volatile right before the earnings comes out, and stocks may run up by the earnings, because individuals are trading the rumor, they're trading the hype, and if the earnings is bad, then Nvidia may pull back down. So if you're doing this as an earnings play, you may want to enter in on Monday if it is a break showing confirmation, or if it does break above 310. And then maybe you want to sell off before the earnings comes out. Again, all up to you. We don't tell you guys what to do. We kind of empower. We want to empower individuals over here. So yeah, definitely a play I'm looking for Nvidia. And then if Nvidia ends up having a bad earnings on Wednesday, then we could simply just trade bad earnings, and I'm gonna link that video at the end of this video. So with that being said, if you guys have any comments, leave them down in the comment section below. I'll try to answer as many people as I can. And also, before you go, I need you guys to watch this next video. That's where I talk about how to trade bad earnings.